Our rules are simple, but the challenge is great. No shoulder pets, tames that can be carried, or typical boss dinos allowed. That means no Rexes, Therazinos, or any other dinos people normally use in these fights. Equipped with official server cap saddles, our 19 contenders will be backed by the commanding presence of a loyal Uteranus providing that extra boost. All competitors will go into battle with food to provide a healing effect. Herbivores will have plenty of sweet veggie cakes, and carnivores and omnivores will have cooked meat. No Overseer, because the movement speed required to get through the tech cave then chase the Overseer during the fight would shorten our list by a lot. It's important to note that tames in this series aren't typically used during boss battles because of the amount of mutations it would take to make them competitive. I'll be applying around 23,000 health and 1200% melee through mutations and experience levels to all dinos that compete. This will give them all a fair shot at defeating at least one of the Guardians. It won't always be feasible to reach these stats depending on the dinos I'm using, but I will let you know the amount of mutations and levels it took in order to reach it. All competitors start out with 50 base health and melee and 40 points in everything else before I apply mutations and experience levels. Use this information and decide on your own servers if the juice is worth the squeeze. Competitors are required to fight the Megapithecus, Broodmother, then Dragon on all difficulties, starting with Gamma, then Beta, finishing with Alpha. Their success will be annotated on this scorecard with a pass or fail system. Now let's introduce our competitor and see if they have what it takes. Procoptodon. This hopping hero is frequently found in the desolate regions on the island and is a pretty versatile tame. The Procoptodon can have a rider on the saddle and a passenger in its pouch, which looks absolutely painful. And ridiculous. I mean, look at that. It's a fantastic travel mount due to its speed and jumping ability, and it gives babies boosted imprints and reduced food consumption. The stats required in this competition will reach 45 mutations and 61 experience levels. 20 mutations and 30 levels went into health, and 25 mutations and 31 levels went into melee. Now let's see if they have what it takes. The green portal was fired up and the underoos were ready to spring into the icy layer of the Gamma Megapithecus. The Procoptodons have excellent speed, but mediocre damage output. Their secondary attack does the exact same damage as the primary attack, so there really isn't a benefit on that front unless you need knockback. Surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, the Raging Roos don't always attack when next to the Megapithecus, but I do admit it's better than most creatures. The underoos are able to dish out enough kangaroo to put an end to the Gamma Megapithecus, earning their first pass. The Gamma Broodmother was up next, and she's a much easier target than the Megapithecus. The only problem is smaller creatures get too close to her attack cone and can even be hit when they're behind her. It's honestly one of my biggest gripes about the boss fights. A lot of the smaller creatures would have more success if they weren't suffering from being hit for the entire duration of the fight. You'll see what I'm talking about later on. The Gamma Broodmother is a piece of cake for the underoos though, and they hop to it and lay on a serious beatdown on the Gamma Broodmother. The veggie cakes leave them virtually undamaged in the Gamma fights so far, and this fight results in another easy victory and a passing score. The Gamma Dragon is normally a piece of cake, but I'm not sure what the hell I was doing in the beginning of this one. Commander Utes was down to 50% health during the first attack, and I wasn't doing much better during the second. It took a while to get my groove, and I wish I could say I had it figured out after this one. Eventually, all the pieces came together and Commander Utes stopped taking so much punishment. The reason I was under the dragon so much even though the roos were taking aggro was because I kept trying to dodge the fire attacks and I kept blowing it. I was trying to minimize the amount of damage Commander Utes received while the roos half-heartedly nibbled on the dragon's ankles. Like most creatures, they struggled with landing shots. Finally, the underoos jumped to it and started laying down a thorough ass whooping to take down the dragon and earn their third pass, clearing game. Blue portal time means beta time, and the killer kangaroos leapt into the beta Megapithecus arena. This is my first time seeing this bug. The gamma chests remain from the previous fight and I'm unable to interact with it. So if you plan on doing something similar to what I'm doing, then make sure you loot that sucker during the fight because your creatures can get stuck on the model. This fight was pretty straightforward. The increased speed of the Megapithecus proved challenging for the roos to keep their shots on target, but during the times that he was surrounded, they dished out some pain. The beta Megapithecus wouldn't be getting the upper hand today, as the maniac marsupials dish out a heaping bowl of whoop-ass to put the big man down and earn another pass. In a cave so musty, smelling of sex and buttery goo, a band of roos led by Commander Utes prepared for kangaroo kung fu. The under-roos were so bold to take on the beta broods and her crew of baby spider assholes shooting out webs so true. The roos chanted, "Let's hop into action and show 'em what we can do," but the beta broodmother was tough as she shrieked during the perilous rendezvous. They hopped around the spooters and the echoes of their kicks softly flew. They landed shot after shot and quickly their courage grew. It wouldn't take long before the big bitch cried boo-hoo as she ate an uppercut here and there and a kangaroo roundhouse or two. They had them surrounded and their victory was overdue. It was a relief when she dropped and the ruse bid this spider bitch adieu. And with that, they earn an impressive pass. Remember when I said that I didn't get much better after the Gamma Dragon? Well, here we are at the Beta Dragon and I'm making the exact same mistakes. I think I even did worse to start this one out. It took a lot more time than I'd care to admit to finally get my shit together. When I finally got the ruse into a good position so that they can maximize their damage output, I was dealt a heavy dose of luck. The Beta Dragon only took off about 3 times during this fight, and after the 3rd landing, he just stayed on the ground, and the Underruse sprung into action and laid it on thick. The latter half of this fight, I was able to just go around the back and chill on Commander Utes from a distance as they whittled away on the Dragon's health bar and eventually took him down, earning their 6th pass and clearing the beta stage. Red portal time means alpha time, and if you skipped to this part, I'm sorry to inform you that you missed some super sweet rhymes. You're going to have to backtrack a bit to find it. The Alpha Megapithecus is a fast SOB, and we've seen in previous episodes if the damage is low, then this big bastard can actually pull off a victory against you. I didn't think this was going to happen to the Jumpin' Joeys, but hey, we've seen some strange shit in this series. Since you can probably see how this fight is going to go, I figured I'd throw in a little plug. I still don't have any members or patrons, but you could be the first to see your name on my videos, and the first to be the reason I don't have to get a job after I retire from the military this winter. I'll put in a good word for the Beta Broodmother for you. Alpha is taken. And we're about to go see her because the Underoos get another pass. Okay, real talk. I know some of you probably want to hear about my love life in graphic detail, but the time for spider-style booty crushing isn't now. I think the Alpha Broodmother is the perfect example of why DPS is important and how the hitboxes and maneuverability of a tame is so important during these boss fights. I can beat the Alpha Dragon with creatures that can't beat the Alpha Broodmother because I'm able to exploit the fight kind of. You can't do that with the Broodmother. The smaller the creature, the harder it is to beat her because she will literally hit all of your tames from all angles. She is seriously a relentless seductress that will stop at nothing to get what she wants. Which is usually me, and my seed. Which I gladly give her as the Underoos earn their first fail. The Alpha Dragon is up next, and I finally got my shit together. This fight was actually pretty epic, and I felt a hint of anxiety throughout it, which is crazy considering how many times I've done this. The dragon took off so many times during this fight, and I truly thought the Underoos weren't going to pull this off. Commander Utes was taking a pounding, and it may not look like it, but I avoided a ton of potential damage. This felt like one big endurance race, and I really enjoyed this fight. Commander Utes didn't though. This poor bastard burned to death for like the 100th time, and I had to resort to getting on Ruback to finish this off. The transition was fortunately smooth, and the dragon stayed relatively still for the remainder of the fight, thankfully. The toe-biting strategy works again, and the Underoos pull off a solid victory, capping off the competition with a pass. Heading over to the scoreboard, the Procoptodon has a solid performance and a well-deserved silver boom medal. For those of you curious about what comes with future maps, I have a question for you. It's my personal opinion that the mana core isn't worth testing creatures out against, so I plan to just keep using the same 3 guardians until maybe Aberration comes out, when we can test out various creatures against Rockwell. But is that even worth it since the most important thing is a good shotgun? Maybe we should wait until Extinction to change the format up, since the island bosses are a worthy test until Titan time. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to join the community. I'd love to have you on board. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.